Slingin Dirt, presented by Hercules Tire. Dirt, late model, dirt modified, and big block modified talk. Now on MRN.com. Here's Ashley, Stremme and Steve Post.
Hello and welcome. It is Tuesday. It is time to talk everything big block, open wheel modifieds, and late models. We have, I'm going to call this the Young Gun Show because everybody here is, well, Matt's a little bit older. He's 33. The other two are 26 years old. So this is my Young Gun Show and a bunch of winners at that as well. Our first guest is Matt Sheppard. He picks up the exhibition race. That's easy for me to say. At Eldora Speedway. We also have Rodney Sanders. He picked up his 7th consecutive Silver Dollar National win this weekend. And Chris Ferguson, he picked up the Southern National Series win at Stremme Motor Speedway. I'm your host, Ashley Stremme. Filling in for David today is my good friend, Steve Post. And folks, don't worry, we've been on the show. It was last year, but we're in good hands. Now, what Steve doesn't tell you a lot of the times is he is also PA Posse. But he is a sprint car guy. He does run Wing Nation. But ultimately, his first love was big block modifieds.
Yeah, I grew up, actually, it's funny because I was probably 20 or 21 years old in Pennsylvania, went to races every night of my life. It was probably 20 or 21 years old before I went to my first sprint car race.
Really?
Yeah, because I was in northeastern Pennsylvania. And northeastern Pennsylvania is close to upstate New York, and so it was the big block modifieds, the Super Dirt Car Series, and a lot of the outlaw tours up there. Penn Can Speedway in Susquehanna, Pennsylvania, and 5 Mile Point Speedway in Binghamton, New York are my home tracks. And so I'm telling you, Ashley, I love the dirt modifieds, the Super Dirt Car modifieds. Last week, Eldora.
Absolutely.
Oh, my gosh. You want
when
to talk
your
about,
worlds collide, you know, your job, your real job,
with
the
Motor Racing
asphalt
Network,
job.
Right, that we're running on dirt.
That's on dirt.
It's on dirt, yeah, with the truck series. But when Roger Slack announced that, and the Super Dirt Car Series announced that they're going to Eldora on Tuesday night, I was the happiest man this side of the Rio Grande River. I am telling you what, I was so excited because we fly up on Tuesday, and I am telling you to watch that Super Dirt Car Series race just from the stands. Couple of friends,
race fan,
drinking a couple of beers, having a good time watching Tim Fuller wheel that car to victory lane. I was in hog heaven. So yes, I love anything dirt track racing. A huge respect for the late model guys. What a sport that is. And the open wheel modifieds, I mean, just really never saw much of that because we were in big block modified territory.
Absolutely.
But the Super Dirt Car Series modifieds is so great. And I'm so excited to be talking to Matt Sheppard today. It's going to be great.
Well, I've got to ask. So the hype around Eldora is just always big in general, just because it's Eldora Speedway. Was it that much bigger because the big blocks were there for the first time in 10 years?
I don't think it hurt anything at all, and they expected 38 cars, and they got 53 or 54 or 55, depends on who you talk to. I mean, you know, it's like, well, you know it's good. They, you know, the way Eldora is that you have the inside pits, and that's where the NASCAR folks were, okay? And way out back is where the modifieds, and I'm walking up to the modified pits, and there's haulers lined everywhere, and you know it's good when track security people are running with stanchions and moving banners and everything because they had to expand the modified pit area.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's good news.
That's really cool.
That's good news. And, you know, so people's hair's on fire because they can't get parked. And the track is trying to say, we expected 38 and 55 of you turkeys showed up. And it's just, it was so good. And I do think the modifieds added so much to that program. I really think it is. I loved it. I can't wait to talk to Matt Sheppard, driver, but I can't wait to talk to him, team owner as well, just to see what his thoughts were because it was a major undertaking for those guys to come all the way to Ohio.
Absolutely.
So I'm looking forward to it. I hope they're all happy because I hope they do it all again because if y'all aren't happy, there was one guy happy. I can promise you I enjoyed it. I was in heaven last Tuesday night.
That is absolutely awesome. Really, really good stuff. And I want to continue with the talk of Ohio, Pennsylvania, because we actually made the trip up there as this weekend. David, we ran Sharon with the big block modified guys.
Coming to a victory lane near you.
Yes. So you all know that I like to give my husband a pretty rough time from time to time. Yeah. I have a certificate that says I'm legally allowed to do that.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, the marriage license. Yes. Exactly, yes.
But I do have to pat him on the back, and he's not here to hear this, so hopefully he'll listen to the show later today. But he's really come a long way in the dirt world of things. And being an asphalt guy, me being a dirt girl, the dirt world doesn't really accept you right away.
No.
And I think he's starting to find his place because we picked up the win at Sharon, and then we went on to Selinsgrove, and we won there as well. And my point is, good job, honey. I'm proud of you. But my point is I'm really excited that those tracks are really starting to open up to the open wheel modifieds.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's not very big in that part of the area, and they're slowly starting to grow. And it just makes my heart smile. And I got to talk to Steve Inch of Selinsgrove. I know you've had him on the show a couple of times on Wing Nation.
Yeah.
What he's doing with Selinsgrove is phenomenal. And I got to chat with him real quick, and he's like, we just wanted to bring something new to our fans.
Yeah.
And he said that's why we brought the open wheel modifieds. And he's like, they will be back.
That's really cool. That area is so rich in race cars. When you look at this boggles my mind, okay, kind of in the middle of all of that. We're talking a little central Pennsylvania, eastern Ohio, like in the middle of it is Lernerville and Mercer.
Yes.
And Lernerville and Mercer have the most unbelievable shows because 410 sprints, dirt late models, big block dirt modifieds,
right.
not once or twice a year.
Right.
Every Friday and Saturday night. These are
and
all,
getting a decent car count.
Yes. So they are in this, and you talk to some people, it's a blessed area. You talk to others, it's cursed, because how do you balance it all out? And how do you get good purses for all three divisions and everything? But and then you hear like Steve Inch wanting to add the open wheel modifieds, which open wheel modifieds are just the absolute rage across the country. But there's these pockets where they're just not as popular. The reason in Pennsylvania and Eastern Ohio is there's so many stinking good classes right now.
Right.
But I was glad to hear that you guys were up there and successful and want to, and but that it's being accepted there as well.
Absolutely.
That's really cool.
And that's, I think, me being a sprint car girl,
Sure.
I know that we as sprint car fans aren't typically receptive to other divisions. The sprint car race is over, you pack your stuff up, you leave. The fans these days are actually staying a little bit later. They're watching the late model feature. They're staying to see these special events. So I ran into several people while I was at Williamsgrove, and they're like, we watched the open wheel modifieds, at Port Royal last year or wherever it was, and they're like, they put on a heck of a good show.
Yeah,
so as long as we can continue to do that, put on good shows.
Well, it boils down, and one of my pet peeves is long-running shows. You're going to stick around and watch other races if you're sitting around at 9:30, 10 o'clock doing it. If you're sitting there at 2:30 in the morning, you're not going to, when what you want to see is done, you're leaving.
Absolutely.
And I think that as we get into this age of much more efficient shows more across the board, that is helping introduce new divisions that people at 1:30 in the morning, they ain't staying for your modified feature. At 9:30 or 9:45 on a beautiful Friday or Saturday night, let's stick around and watch these guys. And it's like, hold on, they're pretty good. They're pretty good racing.
Absolutely.
So I like that. I really do.
And it's tough because, you play both sides of the coin as a racer, as promoters. It's a fine line that you walk. You want everybody to be able to enjoy the evening, but you don't want to go till 2 a.m.,
Right.
but you want to run a good, efficient show, and sometimes that just doesn't always pan
It's a challenge.
out,
It really is, because the heat races and qualifying events don't always go as planned. And when you've got 20 minutes to put the car back together, you don't like an expedited show.
Oh, we didn't talk about this, and I know this is a modified and late model show, but I have to bring it up real quick. Kudos to Brad Sweet's team. They wrecked at Williamsgrove. Next thing I know, and I mean the rear end's bent, the whole shebang, they take the green flag, and here comes Brad Sweet. And I'm like, did they just change the rear end? It was impressive.
What
but anyhow.
these teams do, and this is whether sprint car teams, late model teams, modified teams, whatever it is, what these teams do is just phenomenal. I mean, we rave, and face it, we're Motor Racing Network, we're the voice of NASCAR, and we rave about these 12-second pit stops, and those guys on pit road in NASCAR races are phenomenal athletes. They're freaks, okay? They're absolutely amazing. But what these teams are doing in the dirt pits, getting these cars back out on the racetrack, whether it's sprint cars, late model modifieds, it is amazing how buttoned up some of these teams are. It's really, really cool.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of buttoned up teams, we're going to speak to one right after the break. It is Matt Sheppard here on Slingin Dirt, presented by MRN.com.
Slingin Dirt returns in 1 minute on MRN.com.
O'Reilly. If your AC is blowing hot air, let O'Reilly Auto Parts help bring back the cool this summer. While you may need to eventually service your AC unit, get immediate relief with Interdynamics R134A refrigerant with leak sealer. Buy 2, get 1 free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Come join us every weekend at America's Tailgate Party, NASCAR USA. Hi, I'm Rob Tanner, your host and master of the grill, as we get you ready for high-octane NASCAR racing with hot laps and hot tracks. We serve up 2 hours of the best hits in country music and keep you up to date with racing news and features you won't find anywhere else. Sit down and have a seat. It's a regular weekend pit stop for country music at the speed of sound, NASCAR USA on the Motor Racing Network.
Join the Motor Racing Network every Tuesday night for NASCAR Live. Get the latest news and exclusive interviews from the biggest names in the sport.
One thing, don't take yourself too seriously. Don't worry about people judging and just...
Hear the thoughts and opinions from NASCAR insiders.
Look at what he's been able to do with the Wood Brothers since they returned to full-time competition this year. Now, obviously...
It's NASCAR Live every Tuesday evening at 7 Eastern on the Motor Racing Network. This is Slingin Dirt on MRN.com. Here's Ashley Stremme and Steve Post.
You're listening to Slingin Dirt, presented by Hercules Tires. On the phone with us now, he is the famed Eldora Speedway winner. It is Matt Shepard. Welcome to the show, Matt.
How you doing today?
We are doing well. So you got a trophy that says Eldora Speedway on it. How awesome is that?
That's really cool. I mean, I'm a modified guy. I'm not much for, sprint car racing and stuff, but to win at Williams Grove and Eldora in the same year, that's pretty special.
Really, really cool. Matt, I kind of want you to put on two hats for us here. Talk about, as a driver, and you just kind of alluded to it, going and racing Eldora and just what that means and how special. And like I said, you kind of alluded to it. But the other side of this equation is a team owner. When the Super Dirt Car Series decided they're doing this Ohio swing, talk about the challenges, the good side, if there's a bad side to it. How did that work for both sides of you?
As a team owner, it was kind of a rough trip for us. I mean, we had an awful, awful night Tuesday night. Just about anything that could go wrong went wrong. Came back Wednesday night and was able to win that race, so that was pretty good. But, we stopped at Sharon on the way home. Had some bad luck there as well. So it was a pretty rough week as a car owner. But, as a driver, anytime you get to go to Eldora and get on that kind of stage with all those fans and the NASCAR Craftsman trucks there, and to put the car in victory lane, that was a really, really special night for me, and it's something I'll never forget.
Well, you talk about, the toughness as dealing with, as an owner with the travel and everything else. Was it hard because it is a midweek show? It is pretty far out of your typical span of races that you run. Is it something that you'd like to see every year, or would you rather it just be a special event, every so often since it is so far away?
I mean, I wouldn't mind going out there every year for that event. It's been a really busy month for us. It was definitely kind of tough going to Ohio last week, and I'm actually in Drummondville, Quebec, Canada right now. We have a race up here tonight and another one tomorrow night. So, I mean, we have just been traveling all over the Northeast this past month or so. It definitely makes it tough, but at the same time, I mean, it seems like it flies by too. You look at the schedule and you say, man, July is going to be crazy, and it's been a crazy month, but at the same time, it's almost over now. It won't be long, another couple of weeks, and things are going to actually start slowing down, and we're going to be like, man, where did the season go?
Well, you mentioned that you're in Canada at the Autodrome. I know that they rained out last night. I know that I-88 was also on your schedule. So as an owner-driver, how do you determine which race you're going to hit?
Well, I mean, I follow the Super Dirt Series. I'm definitely going to stay up here in Canada and run this deal. I was going to go to I-88 and run Norm Hansel's car Wednesday night, but I talked to him today, and it's just it's not meant to be. I think he's going to put Dwayne Howard in a car over there on Wednesday, and he's still going to go there and run it. I'm going to stay up here and run my car.
Cool. That is really, really cool. Big news within, and it's kind of old news, except for we only get a chance to talk here once a week. Big news with the announcement, which we kind of saw this coming, that Super Dirt Week, of course, the Syracuse, the old fairgrounds are gone, and that's a parking lot now. But the decision has been made to put some dirt down at Oswego and put Super Dirt Week there. Your thoughts on putting dirt down on a historic track in Oswego and what Super Dirt Week is going to look like this year?
Man, I don't know. All I could say is it's going to be interesting, to say the least. You grow up going to Syracuse every year, and it's going to be totally different. I mean, the track's going to be different. The race is going to be different. The facility is going to be different. I guess I don't even really know what to expect. We're just going to try and prepare the best we know how and head up there in October and see what happens.
We've talked about it, I think, every single week, just the history behind Super Dirt Week and just how much things are probably going to change. I know that they're still going to try to keep as much as possible, but there's just that history that Syracuse had. Do you think, I know it's at Oswego this year, hopefully it'll be at Central New York next year, if they can get their grounds going in the way it's supposed to be. But do you think, Matt, that, bringing the drivers back from the past and the new guys can kind of correlate what Super Dirt Week meant back in the day and continue that tradition?
I almost feel like now that Syracuse is gone, Super Dirt Week will never be the same as it was.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I would have liked to see them not try to copy Super Dirt Week the way it was and start a new tradition.
Mm-hmm.
It could still be Super Dirt Week, but maybe make it like a true short track race, like a Knoxville Nationals or a World 100, just a really big deal. Maybe kind of get away from the pit stops and the long distance. I mean, I just don't feel like us dirt modified teams are really geared up well enough to be doing live pit stops. You don't see it in sprint car racing. You don't see it in late model racing. I don't feel like we should be doing it either. I kind of would have liked to see them go in a different direction, but they didn't. They chose to keep it, as much the same as they could schedule-wise. So I guess we're just going to go there and, we got to see what happens.
I never thought about that, and I love that. Because I'm really, as an old dirt modified guy, I'm just twisted up about this like you. I mean, I don't have a dog in the fight like you do, Matt, but I like what your idea, although it doesn't really matter what we talk about here on the program. They haven't decided to do it.
They're going to do what they want.
Matt,
Right.
new to your team. This is a guy, okay, when I grew up at 5 Mile Point Speedway, and this young kid by the name of Charlie Castle came in, and he had some crew guy by the name of Randy Kosecki working with him, and they had all kinds of success, and Randy went on, has just been absolutely a mainstay in the modified tour, and he has, in a way or fashion, through the Bicknell deal, joined your team. What has Randy brought to your team, and having a guy like that as you've got your team up and running, how helpful has that been?
Oh, it's been huge. I mean, his knowledge is just, he's been around forever. There's not much about dirt racing that he doesn't know. And, I was fortunate enough to get teamed up with him at HBR the last couple of years and, got to know him, got to work with him. And, we had a ton of success over there. And, when I started my team, he was willing to come with me. And, it's just been a great relationship between the two of us. And, man, we've been winning a lot of races these last 3 years.
Absolutely. 15 wins already this year. It's another chalk in the win column there for sure. But, Matt, we always talk racing on this show, and I always love to get off course. What is it when you're not racing, which is like maybe, one day a week at this point? When you're not racing.
3 days in December.
Exactly. What does Matt Sheppard like to do when he can ultimately clear his head and not think or talk racing?
There hasn't been a whole lot of that lately. Man, I think I've been in the shop working about 60, 70 days in a row probably. But, the wintertime I do like to relax. And, we try to get out and go on vacation once a year. And I do enjoy riding my snowmobile when I have time, do some New York winter sports. But, I enjoy the golf. I just haven't had any time to do that either. I mean, it's been a really, really busy summer. I don't have anybody, paid or crew that helps me in the shop during the week. It's just me. So I've spent most of my free time washing race cars all summer. That's pretty much it.
Where do you go snowmobiling at up there?
I like to go up to Old Forge. I like to ride out of my driveway when we have enough snow at my house, but that's not always a given.
Right. Cool. Yeah, that's good.
Awesome. A guy who is the only guy who works on his car, washes his own car.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive, Matt. I did not know that about you.
Yeah, I mean, I got a great bunch of guys that, can come with me and help me at the track and stuff, but they all have full-time jobs. I mean, at the shop during the week, it's just me, I don't have anybody to come over and wash. One of my buddies' 10-year-old son, sometime I can get him over there to wash some panels and stuff, but it seems like I got to bribe him to do it.
A little bit of cash on the side,
10-year-old kid.
Absolutely.
That's the language of 10-year-old kids for sure.
I love it. Awesome. Well, Matt, congratulations on getting a win at Eldora, and we wish you the best of luck tonight and tomorrow and, well, the rest of your schedule.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt.
Oh, now I've got something else to follow tonight. Exactly. Yeah. In between there, that is really, really cool. The Old Forge, I've actually been snowmobiling up there
you
at Old
have?
Forge. Yeah, Greg Zipadelli, when he did his charity rides, we were just north of Old Forge.
Okay.
That is a world of its own. Snowmobile, I know it's a world I've been 3 or 4 times and loved every time. Just really, really cool. That's really cool.
See, that's something I never got into.
Oh, it's phenomenal when done.
We would ride four-wheelers in the snow
Yeah.
when I was a
Oh.
kid. My dad would make me go to the gas station and
Here's
fill
the
up on the
reality of it,
four-wheeler,
Ashley.
but
Here's
never
just the reality of
snowmobiles.
it is it's called snowmobile riding, but it's bar hopping. I don't mean
Well, then
to
maybe
just-
that's why I never got into it,
Exactly.
because I wasn't old enough at the time.
Right, exactly. I love Matt's thoughts on Super Dirt Week.
Absolutely.
I am really torn on this. Okay, here's my opinion, and I did a number of Super Dirt Weeks when I wrote for Gator Racing News, and I know we're way late, but you're used to that. Stremme takes you.
No
way
worries.
late anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Stremme
We
does it all
got
the
plenty
time.
of time.
Yeah, Stremme does it all the time, so I can do it now. I loved Super Dirt Week at Syracuse.
Yes.
But it was just the biggest party on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And on Sunday afternoon, you'd settle in on this mile track and watch a bunch of guys race around a mile track, usually single file,
Yes.
and then have to do a pit stop that, as Matt just said, none of them do on a regular basis. And you would crown the biggest race of the year on a track that is just
So
non-traditional.
aero, yes.
Exactly. So I always had this really weird Super Dirt Week thing. Okay, it was like, man, I love the week, and I love all the support shows, the Brewertons, the rolling
Yes.
wheels. I
Mhm.
love that. But it was like, then you get to Sunday afternoon, and it's like, oh, this racetrack is just not really what modifieds put their best show on. So
Right.
when and I hate what happened to the fairgrounds because
Sure.
what Super Dirt Week was. So then I got thinking about Oswego. Now, Super Dirt Week was the biggest party in upstate New York. The second biggest party back in the day was the Bud 200 International Classic weekend at Oswego. So Oswego knows how to throw a party. Okay, so we've got that down. But now the race comes to a more traditional 5/8 mile track, and I was really torn on what that is. And again, it doesn't matter, but I really like what Matt suggested there,
Right.
because it's like it is what it is. You're closing the chapter on Syracuse, but yet you're opening it back up. Face it, it's a parking lot. It's gone.
Sure.
And so I like what Matt's proposing. I'm anxious to see what happens at Super Dirt Week this year. I'm anxious to see how the clay goes down. I know they learned a lot at Rockford
Yes.
on with the World Racing Group, and I can't wait to see what happens. I love that the sprint cars are at Fulton, which is just down the road a little bit, the World of Outlaw sprint cars, and it's going to be big, no doubt about it. But it's just going to be interesting to see how it goes.
Well, what I like about what Matt had to say is I guess I just kept thinking about how we can bring Syracuse tradition
Yeah.
to another racetrack.
Right.
And Matt gave me a new perspective because ultimately we don't need to do that.
You can't do that.
You can't, exactly. You can't do it. So let's start something new.
Yeah.
We'll still call it Super Dirt Week because that's what it's all about ultimately.
and look
but
at
let's make a new chapter.
like
let's
the World
start.
100 format or the Knoxville Nationals, where you race 4 straight nights
Exactly.
and every lap matters.
I do like that
I don't
a lot.
know. I don't know. I'm with.
He's got something there.
Yeah, but doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, maybe.
Well, I don't know. I'll call my buddy
Matt
Brian.
has some pull. He's leading the points
I'll
right
call
now.
up Brian Carter. Hey, Brian, postman. And then we'll
Tell
hear
him.
the click.
Tell him.
And, hey, talk to me about sprint cars. You don't go to modified racing. Talk to me about sprint cars. So it's cool. Great talking with Matt Shepard. That was really cool.
Absolutely. Well, another guy I like to talk to a lot is Rodney Sanders, and he's up next here on Slingin Dirt, presented by Hercules Tires on MRN.com.
Slingin Dirt returns in 1 minute on MRN.com.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there. Whether you're running on dirt or running a job, our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, right on our strength.
NASCAR Coast to Coast, your weekly home for all the latest news and results from NASCAR Touring Series and local tracks, plus interviews with race winners from all over America. Wednesdays at noon Eastern on MRN.com, the MRN app, and YouTube. Kyle, Ricky, and Buddy Long give you the latest from the NASCAR K&N East and West Series, Whelen Modify Series, and the Whelen All-American Series. NASCAR Coast to Coast, Wednesdays at noon Eastern on MRN.com.
If you have a question or comment about NASCAR, Motor Racing Network has a direct line for you. It's the Fan Forum Hotline.
I'm a newbie to this sport just this year, and I wanted to know.
I was wondering when they measure the length of a racetrack.
Call in at 844-4-ASK-MRN. That's 844-4-ASK-MRN.
Just wanted to send out a big shout out and thanks for covering the race.
The Fan Forum Hotline, your connection to NASCAR.
This is Slingin Dirt on MRN.com. Here's Ashley, Stremme, and Steve Post.
Welcome back to Slingin Dirt. We're your hosts, Ashley Stremme and Steve Post. The next guy on the phone is a good friend of mine, and he picks up his seventh, count 'em, seventh, not straight, but consecutive silver dollar national wins. It is Rodney Sanders. Welcome to the show, Rodney.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Rodney, listen, I know that you're a winner. You've won so many races, but what you did this weekend, I can't even wrap my head around it. 7 consecutive silver dollar nationals.
Yeah, it was, I really didn't think we even had a shot at winning because I feel like we've kind of been struggling here lately a little bit. But luckily we got everything right or good enough, I would say, for the feature on Saturday, and it's probably my favorite track we go to, and it's pretty awesome to win it again.
Is there a specific area, Rodney, where you were struggling at, or was it just across the board? If you knew that, you would have fixed it, or was there something specific you were missing?
I mean, just kind of across the board. We've just kind of been all over the place on different stuff, and not really struggling, but I mean, we haven't ran top threes, I would say, as much as what we've been accustomed to, but just kind of all throughout the board, just struggling. Getting kind of a balance on our car and everything. So the track just, I think, hit us just right, and it was pretty good there on Saturday night.
Now, mind you, Rodney has 9 wins already this year. He's still struggling. And quite honestly, in his past experiences, looking at his win record, it is probably double what his wins are right now. Rodney, does that play with your mind at all? I mean, knowing what you've done in the past few seasons and how many wins you typically have by now, I mean, you're still doing really well, but does that play with your mind as a driver?
I mean, a little bit. I mean, I really think the years we've had in the last couple, I would say, have just kind of been really, really well, and this is just kind of, I guess it's really not struggling, but just for us it is, and it's so hard once you're on top to stay on top, in my opinion, because you got guys that are working really hard to get to that point, and it's just so hard because if you're winning, it's hard to try stuff you haven't, or just what you were doing doesn't work anymore, stuff like that. So that's almost feels like you got to not really get behind, but get beat a little bit to really figure out things.
Rodney, this is just, Ashley, you don't even need to listen to this. This is a guy question, okay? This is just us guys talking, okay? I'm reading the story, and I'm finding out your teammate is your girlfriend's father. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Rodney, if this goes bad, it goes real bad, dude. You understand this?
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that.
Okay, what's the challenge of running with the girlfriend's father? And you had to do it. You had to beat him this past week.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, Jason, he's a really good racer, and no matter, he don't race a lot, but whenever he does race, he's always up front. It don't really matter if it's in a modified or a late model or what it's in, and he's really tough. I really like it when we race. He does race because it seems like we can work together on bouncing ideas and stuff back and forth. And yeah, he's a tough competitor, that's for sure. And I'd hate to be in Samantha's shoes. I bet she's having a heck of a time up there watching.
That's a good. I hadn't thought about her perspective. I'm looking out for you, Rodney. I'm looking out for you. One slip up, dude, and you got problems at the track and at the house. I'm telling you. So
yeah.
But I guess she's kind of got a problem too. So
I love it. I love it. And I want to talk about that because you bring up Jason Crone. He is also. I mean, you've got G Unit, which I guess technically he's your crew chief. But when you're hopping in the late model and you're out running the modified, Jason does help you wrench on that thing an awful lot too.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he a lot of like this winter we went down to Florida, and he came along and helped, and he's a big supporter, that's for sure, and does kind of whatever he can to help me out, and it lets me stay at the shop, and he all the time cooks for us. He's a great guy and does a lot of stuff for us, that's for sure. And, yeah, he's also he's a very talented racer, but he's also, in my mind, very smart as far as setup stuff. And it's always nice when you have someone that drives and that understands the car very well to, talk to you about things.
Well, I know that his favorite quote is, if you can't win the show, be the show. That's Jason's favorite quote. But I've got to ask, Rodney, does he light you up when things are over, like I do with David? When the race is over, I like to tell him what he did wrong. Is Jason, try to be level-headed since he's also a driver and he understands, or does he pretty much tell you what you did wrong?
I mean, he don't get on my case, I guess, too much, but he will. I mean, sometimes say, it's always, I guess, positive things, but he'll tell me things he thinks I can improve on, or whatever, which is good. But he doesn't get too carried away with it. But even like the other day, he was running second behind me and told me some things where he thought I on a restart I should have did this, or something a little different just for next time, where maybe he couldn't get a run on me or something like that.
You said he cooks?
Yeah.
Dude,
yeah,
you better not screw this up, because now you've got a cook, the crew chief and a cook?
Yeah, I know. It's pretty good deal going.
What's his best racetrack meal that he's ever made for you?
He cooks steaks a lot, and he can cook steaks really well.
Son.
So he cooks steaks, I think, Friday night or Thursday night and Friday night after the race.
Dude, you better not mess this up. You
right.
Yeah, man, I was worried about you. Now I think you're spoiled rotten. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my goodness gracious, I love it. Rodney, you've been struggling with the late model. I know it's still new, but I guess what I'm trying to say here is, you're jumping back and forth between the late model and the modified, and we know how successful you can be in the modified. Does it hinder you while you're trying to think of what to do for both when you're racing them the same weekend?
I mean, a little bit. I mean, it typically hasn't been too bad in the past for the mods. We kind of just have a kind of a happy medium setup, or baseline setup that we can have it on and be, I would say, pretty good with that. But here lately, we've been all over the place, so we're trying to figure out the mod and figure out the late model both. And I'm the one that kind of makes the calls on everything. So as soon as I get out of one, I got to tell the guys what I think we should change, and then I'll jump in the other. And yeah, that makes it a little tougher for sure. But luckily, the way the races was this weekend, we had some extra, dash races and things like that, so we had time to test and had a practice, which helps. But yeah, sometimes it definitely makes it tough on what to change and even having enough time to change everything.
Rodney, as you look forward to this weekend and on down, what's on the short-term horizon for you? Where are you headed to? What's coming up next for you?
I think we're going to run some late model stuff this weekend. There's some Corn Belt races in Iowa and Wisconsin. We're going to maybe try to plan on doing that. And then after this weekend, that hunt starts up for the modified. It's it kind of determines our national champion. It's pretty much the month of August and a couple weekends in September. We're going to really try to focus on that. We'll be kind of out of the late model for the next probably 4 or 5 weeks, trying to focus on the modified deal. And after that, I guess we'll just kind of go back and hit and miss some of the bigger mod shows and late model shows. So, but yeah, here in the next month, it's going to be a lot of mod racing.
So will you be making the trip to Wisconsin for the Mississippi Thunder 40,000 to win modified race?
Yes, that is on the schedule for sure.
Interesting.
Wisconsin for the Mississippi Thunder race?
Exactly, yes. That's the name of the race. And it pays $40,000 to win.
Well, that's a language we can all understand. We might not understand the name of it, but $40,000 we can all understand it, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, Rodney, we wish you the best of luck. Thanks for being on this show. We appreciate it. And tell Samantha I said hello.
Okay, thanks for having me
Thanks,
on.
Rodney. Now, that kid is 26 years old.
That's really cool.
72 USMTS wins.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Wheel a car.
That's what boggles my mind, because that's like more than how many races a year since he's been born.
Yeah, that's amazing. That really is. And he's from Happy, Texas.
Happy, Texas. That's right.
I love that. I love that. That is really, really cool. And man, I'll tell you what a story as they're traveling around as he broaches the late model and tries to get into that. And that's, man, I'll tell you what, that's tough sledding in that world. I mean, it's bad. I mean, modified world's tough. Late model world's tough also.
And that's the
really
thing,
cool.
across the country, when you hear USMTS, it's known as one of the more stronger fields of modified racers. And to know that he's 26 years old and has won 72, I think it's 72. I definitely know it's 70 a few weeks ago, but I think it's up to 72 now, that he's won just in that series alone. So that's really, really impressive. And yes, Mississippi Thunder, Wisconsin.
Ay. Okay.
Trust me, when I first heard the race was coming out, I was like, yeah, this is kind of close.
I wonder if we get some gumbo down there.
And then I found out it was in Wisconsin.
Oh,
I'm like, I don't think we're going anymore. It's a little bit farther away.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so I'm really excited to see what that boasts, how many cars they're going to get there. But
$40,000
to win.
Holy
Yeah.
mackerel.
The only thing that stinks is it's also the same weekend as the IMCA Boone Nationals. So, it'll be interesting.
There'll be a couple hundred. There'll be a lot of racing going on that weekend.
Up in that area. Absolutely. But speaking of a lot of racing going on, we are going to speak to Chris Ferguson up next here on Slingin Dirt, presented by Hercules Tires on MRN.com.
Slingin Dirt returns in 1 minute on MRN.com.
O'Reilly.
Looking for high-quality replacement parts for your import vehicle? Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and check out the full line of Import Direct OE replacement parts designed for European and Asian vehicles and meet or exceed all OE quality standards for fit, form, and function. Import Direct, exclusively at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Missed the race this weekend?
Danica Patrick is up in flames. Home Menard will crash.
Or just want to relive the best moments?
That was an amazing finish.
Catch all of the action and highlights right here.
Jimmy Johnson gets nailed, and it's a big one.
It's the Sprint Cup replay getting you on the fast track to victory lane.
Woo! Good job, Kansas, yes.
Don't be left out of the conversation Monday at work. Listen to the Sprint Cup replay on MRN.com Mondays at 7 a.m. and 1 p.m.
If you haven't checked out MRN.com's exclusive online programming, you've missed a lot. MRN Motorsports Monday. Review and preview the NASCAR weekends. Wings Nation talk Wings Sprint Cars. The latest from the NHRA. On the straight line. Dirt, late model, modified, and big block modified talk. Slingin Dirt. NASCAR regional, local, and international series on NASCAR Coast to Coast. Exclusive original online motorsports talk on MRN.com. This is Slingin Dirt on MRN.com. Here's Ashley Stremme and Steve Post.
Welcome back. You're listening to Slingin Dirt, presented by Hercules Tires. We're your host, Ashley Stremme, alongside of Steve Post. I'm so glad that you filled in for us today, Steve. I appreciate that.
It's great fun. A pleasure. A real pleasure.
Well, the next pleasure that we're going to talk to, he is your Southern Nationals winner at Stremme Motorsports Speedway. It is Chris Ferguson. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey, I just want to say I couldn't remember your website, so I Googled you. Did you know that you're a poker player as well?
I tell you what, I did not know that. I think I've heard something about it, but yeah, I think I've maybe seen a thing or two about it. But
he's got really long hair, and his name's Chris Ferguson. He's
Really?
a professional poker player. But anyhow,
Well, he's got job security and everything. You race cars. You don't. Yeah. That's the difference there. He's in the secure world of poker. You're in the racing business, something with a real gamble, right?
oh goodness gracious! So, Stremme Motorsports, you picked up the win this weekend. I personally love Stremme just because they have so much to offer there. Were they racing all kinds of other stuff while you were there this weekend?
yes, it's actually unbelievable that they that the pits are all one. You know, they're all connected, and the fact that they were racing drag cars on the drag strip, they were racing go-karts, and I'm not even sure if they might even had something else this week, and it was basically slam-packed all day. And the fact that they have all three of those going at one time, and basically all the pits are connected, so you can go watch all three of them at any point. And there's not really anywhere else like that in the United States.
Sounds cool. It really does. Tell us about the win. How'd you get to victory lane?
To be honest with you, we just kind of we went with a harder tire, and the two guys there was two other guys that we were racing for the lead the whole race, and we basically kind of swapped the lead, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. We were 3 wide with them, and we were catching traffic and racing through traffic, and by the end of it, the track slicked off, and we went with a little bit harder tire choice. So the last 15, 20 laps, when our tire fired off, it definitely made a difference, and we kind of checked out and won from there.
Well, a lot of change in the Ferguson camp. You know, you were leading it at Carolina and got into an accident there, junked your car. So you went from a Longhorn, now you're in an XR1, but you're still obviously winning. Yeah. So much hasn't changed in that aspect. Has it been a learning curve for you switching chassis like that?
Yeah, no doubt, because we ran the Longhorn chassis for 1.5 years, which we still do have one of our Longhorns, so we're going back and forth between the two brands. But for the most part, though, we've had to relearn about everything just because the cars, they're not exactly, they're similar, but they're not the same. So it's definitely been kind of a challenge, but that's part of racing. You're not supposed to just know everything. That's what makes it fun.
Fun for sure, no doubt about it. We're chatting with Chris Ferguson here on Slingin Dirt. Chris, I do a lot of work in the sprint car world, and grew up on the dirt modifieds, the big block modifieds. We already established that here on the program. My question to you is the dirt late model world, and I was sharing with Ashley during one of the breaks. It seems like to me in the dirt late model world, on any given Saturday night, there are 15, if not more, $10,000 to win shows. You throw in then the World of Outlaws and the Lucas Oil Tour. And how do you even determine or put together or plan a schedule? How far out do you plan that schedule?
To be honest, there's certain races that are on our map the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Like this coming weekend, the Prairie Dirt Classic, it's a 26,000 to win race. But as far as week to week, if there's a $5,000 to $10,000 race, which there always is, that's within, a couple 100 miles or within, 5 hours, we basically have to choose. And to be honest with you, we basically choose off of, which one's our favorite track or, our past experience there. And that's the fun thing about dirt racing is you can go race basically anywhere and race for good money, and then also, basically have a handful of options to pick from. And we're very fortunate because, there's times where, we can go race for $5,000 to win 2 hours away, or we could go race for $10,000 or up to 26, 50,000 to win. Anywhere from 5 to 10 hours away. So it's it's a pretty cool sport to be able to go race the way we do.
It's very true. I know, Chris, that you have wanted to be on a touring deal and run with Lucas or the World of Outlaws, but it's so hard when you can hit a $5,000 to win at least every single week within a 4-hour drive. It's very cool how late model racing is very strong here in the South. But I am excited to hear that you're headed to Fairbury this weekend. Is it your first trip?
It is my first trip to Fairbury.
It is an amazing place. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it. It's just the fans, the atmosphere, the town shuts down. It is truly an amazing experience. The track, I've never seen a cushion quite like it in my life. Make sure your right rear quarter panel is cut halfway up. You don't need that section anymore. But it is truly an amazing place.
Yeah, this week we've actually been cutting out spare right rear pieces. So
that's funny.
that was kind of the plan the whole time.
Yeah, Fairbury is one of those few dirt late model tracks that I actually hit, and I loved it. And the town shuts down. When I was there, the fire company's selling popcorn, and it's just one of those good tracks right in a little town along the way. Chris, question for you is, and I certainly don't want you to share any of your. I don't need to know numbers or anything else, but I went on your Facebook page and I see, man, you've got new hats. You've got phone covers, of course, the T-shirts and everything. And again, no numbers. I'm not prying my nose into your business, but when you look at souvenirs, when you look at collectibles, when you look at those items, is it a significant portion of what you have to do to carve this out? Is it a small portion that's balanced off with the hassles of doing it? Is it where all the money comes from? How does that work? And again, I'm not digging into your business, but how important is it to you in the overall program you have?
Well, there's no question that it definitely helps out, especially like the last few years. We've actually you'd be surprised. Every time I get an order from our website, there's no telling where it's from. I've been shipping shirts to New Mexico, to Iowa, to California and Washington, and the last couple of years we've really started doing a lot more stuff. And to be honest with you, it does help out a pretty good deal. Of course, naturally, it's not where we pull our funds to race. We pull those from our sponsors, and then also just from, our jobs and whatnot. But for the most part, it's definitely a necessity, especially for me as a driver, because myself personally, I don't pull any of our winnings and put it in my pocket. We put all of our money back into racing. And the same thing with apparel. There's some stuff that I do like to buy with the money, that I think that's going to help us in the big picture. Like the other day, I bought a new MacBook Pro to do some video editing and do photo editing and ad work. But, it's all about growing the team and getting to that next step, and then also, building a professional brand. And that's, for the most part, that's what we're doing, even with the apparel money and everything that we sell. We're just constantly putting it back into the race team. And it is important. It's not the most important part, but it's definitely important.
That's awesome. Chris, I didn't know that you were the one that actually boxed them up and shipped them out.
Yeah, it's a fun job.
I love it. He works on his race car and he sends orders.
That's right. Exactly.
I love it. So I do have another question. The Gateway Dirt Nationals this winter, will you be making the trek up to St. Louis?
I'm not 100% sure yet. I love the idea, and I'm really good friends with Cody, who's putting on the race. And me and Cody actually used to be roommates when we were younger. So it's one of those races that's definitely on the radar. I'm not 100% sure if we're going to make it in my car, just because it's so far of a drive. And then usually that time of year, we're refreshing our motors and also, rebuilding the car. But I've talked to a few other guys about maybe driving their car at that race. So there's a good chance that I'll be there, and probably not in my car, in somebody else's car.
So even in the off season, we're still racing.
Absolutely.
I love it.
That's true.
I love it. Hey, if when you're not racing, what is it that you love to do? Even when there is no racing, you still manage to find a race in the middle of December. But on a weekday, what is it that Chris Ferguson loves to do that doesn't involve racing?
Ooh, I guess just the main part about racing is all the work that we have to do, and you know this. I mean, it's one of those things where you commit every day, every evening, every weekend. I've recently been loving going out on the lake. So my girlfriend and all of my friends and all this, we'll go out on the pontoon boat or they have an old school Moomba speedboat. So we'll go out on the lake, hang out, and I just love hanging out with my friends because, racing as much as we have the last 10, 15 years now, it's it's every weekend throughout the racing season, and you miss a lot of the things that most people take for granted. So I enjoy going out on the lake. I enjoy there's a bunch of things I enjoy. I enjoy going snowboarding, especially during the off season. That's one of my sports that I'm not that great at, but I enjoy doing it. And same thing with golf. I'm not great at it, but I'm excited. Actually, this weekend they're having a golf tournament Saturday morning at Fairbury for the benefit of the Shriners, and we're playing in it. So that's another sport I enjoy doing.
Awesome. Well, while you're in Fairbury this weekend, make sure you look up Mr. Stremme. He'll be up there running as well. Unfortunately, I'm not making the trip. So good luck to you, Chris.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for being on the show. We appreciate it.
Thank you all for having me.
Have a good one. I love it.
Yeah. So cool.
Yeah. Well, and he's also the champion spark plugs.
Yeah, I saw
he was
that.
the one that won that deal. So
That's
really cool
Yeah,
deal
I saw
there.
his videos. He does in-car videos on his Facebook page, and it's all
Yes.
champion spark plug logoed up, and even the picture we had on the screen here for
on
our
a
YouTube
suit.
followers.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that's good.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, we'll be back to talk about the upcoming races this weekend here on Slingin Dirt, presented by Hercules Tires on MRN.com.
Slingin Dirt returns in 1 minute on MRN.com.
MRN's Winged Nation, presented by Sage Fruit on MAV TV every Saturday at 9:30 a.m. and again at 12:30 p.m. Steve Post and Ashley Stremme give you a full half hour of sprint car news and interviews with the biggest names from the world of outlaws, ASCS, All-Star Circuit of Champions, Pennsylvania, Knoxville, the West Coast, and all dirt tracks in between. MRN's Winged Nation on MAV TV, presented by Sage Fruit, Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. Eastern on MAV TV.
Live sports are the one true reality entertainment, where a single dramatic moment can become timeless. In NASCAR, Motor Racing Network's live broadcasts elevate your senses to the sights, sounds, and struggles taking place on the racetrack.
One final lap in the Daytona 500. Joey Logano has the point. Junior crosses over.
The power of radio to the imagination of the listener. Tune in to the Motor Racing Network. Visit MRN.com for an affiliate list in your local area.
This is Steve Post, co-host of Articat Wing Nation. We're hitting the road to Knoxville, Iowa. Join Kendra Jacobs, Aaron Evernham, and me as we broadcast live from the 5-Hour Energy Knoxville Nationals, presented by Casey's General Store, August 10th through the 13th. Join us live in the Fan Zone from Knoxville Raceway or listen on MRN.com 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Articat Wing Nation live from the Knoxville Nationals. You don't want to miss it.
This is Slingin Dirt on MRN.com.
Here's Ashley Stremme and Steve Post.
Welcome back to Slingin Dirt. We are so glad that you joined us for another episode today. This week's upcoming race is the World of Outlaws. They are at Quincy and Fairbury. I'm really bummed that I'm missing Fairbury. I know you've said you've been there. I didn't know that you've ever been there. It's
years and
just
years ago.
an amazing
I
place.
couldn't tell you when it was, but I knew what happened. It was the day that Jimmy Johnson won his Xfinity Series race because I listened to it on the way down there.
Oh.
And the one Xfinity race he won at Chicagoland Speedway, I was driving to Fairbury when he won that.
hilarious.
So I could go back and find it, but it was a great night at the racetrack. I love that little racetrack.
Yeah,
Great
Fairbury
place.
is phenomenal. It's just the people there, the atmosphere, bar none. Southern Nationals, Boyd's, Crossville, Smoky Mountain, and Tazewell. We went to Tazewell a few weeks ago. That place is a mini Winchester. If you've never been there, you need to check that place out. ALMS is at Attica and Oakshade. Deary's at Iowa State Fair. I wonder if the fair's going on.
Oh, you kidding me?
I'm so excited. It's almost fair time. Mars is at Legit Speedway. USMTS is at Chateau and Deer Creek. And Super Dirt Car Series is in the Autodrome of Canada. They're at Granbury and Drummond.
Yes, indeed. A couple big races there.
Well, Steve Post, thank you so much for filling in for David Stremme, and he will also be a staple here next week. Maybe he'll take one of our spots permanently.
No,
I don't know,
but so I don't think I can. And
we're
by the
in
way,
good hands.
You mentioned next week. We are so excited. Everyone here at Motor Racing Network is so excited for Mrs. North Carolina. The reason that I'm going to be filling in for Ashley next week is that you are going to be in Las Vegas becoming Mrs. United States.
That is correct. Yeah.
So, and notice I said trying to become. I said you're going to become.
That's right. Oh, you're sweet.
Your video is fantastic, folks. Go on YouTube and Google
any of our social media sites. I'll tweet it out today.
Absolute, because it features the Dirt Modified.
It does.
It's so cool. It really is. So we certainly we're so proud of you, but we're so excited about what Eliza had for you for next week. For next week, it's going to be big. And
thank you. I'm excited, and to, we're going to teach them a little bit about the racing world, and I'm really excited about that because the racing family has been a large part of my life, and it's who I am, and I'm so blessed.
Speaking of racing family, I saw Victory Lane at Sealands Grove on Saturday night.
I know. Yeah, my whole family was there. My parents. It was like old times all over again.
Her dad and mom are two of the coolest people on the planet, folks.
Steve
they
Post,
are so cool.
You're precious.
And I was so amazed. I see the Sealands Grove Victory Lane pictures of your dad and mom there in Victory Lane with you. That is really, really neat.
I'm very blessed to have a great family as well as an extended family in the racing world. Truly blessed. But thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it, and filling in for me next week.
Yes, indeed.
But later today, you can find Slingin Dirt at the media center at MRN.com, on MRN's YouTube channel, and also on iTunes. That is Slingin Dirt.
This has been Slingin Dirt with Ashley and David Stremme. Listen every Tuesday at 11 Eastern on MRN.com for more news, interviews, and opinion from dirt tracks all over America. Slingin Dirt is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.